Oh yeah, welcome to the Healthy Indoors After Hours show. Yeah, you can't even get the first line out. Good evening and welcome, co-host Joe Medosh. How the heck are you out there in Loveland, Colorado?
I am great. I am technically on vacation, so I modified
Bar?
my
You're
vacation.
on vacation at the bar again?
I'm at the bar. Well, it doesn't matter if I'm working or I'm on vacation. I'm probably at the bar, but now I can stay till it closes tonight. So that's my goal. All right,
Oh,
we're closing.
okay.
We're closing the bar tonight. Okay.
So haven't seen you for a while. I'm missing you on the weekly show, to be honest. Just because you were like my comfy, safe, warm blankie and pilly.
I don't know how you close your shows without me. So yeah. Right.
We do just fine, but anyway. So tonight we're going to have I think somewhat lively discussion. I have outfitted the studio with a bottle of Kraken and bottles of beverage. You're already at the bar, so you're set.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers, sir. So joining us tonight, we're going to bring him in here. Dr. David Kraus, coming to us live from somewhere in Florida. David is the founder and president, I guess. I don't know if that's the right term, or you're the chief administrator of Healthcare Consulting and Contracting, right? HC3?
Yeah, that would be El Presidente.
El Presidente. Okay. So welcome as usual. He is, bringing that southern streaming capability to us. No, it's not bad. Actually, your signal's not too bad.
With a mason jar. So that's how you know it's good.
Is that Everclear?
No, it's a mason jar.
I know he's worrying me that he's got a clear mason jar. I'm not sure what's in there. And then the other seat looks to be empty. We have another guest coming in here, but I'm looking into the green room and I don't. Oh, there he is. Oh, here we go. Coming to us live from Chicagoland is Jay West.
So, like I said, petunias are perennials. I had to order a drink. Sorry.
In your basement. All right. Excellent. Things are starting off perfect.
Still got to order them.
It's true. It's true. So, so we had we have several items that I'd love to talk about with you gentlemen. David and I had just a really great conversation earlier in the week, talking about without you. Yeah. Talking about the CDC, which I don't know. Do you want to get into that right out of the blocks? I don't know if we want to start with that. That was
wait, do we do an introduction for the Wesley?
Yeah. Do Jay, I'm going to have you introduce who you are because you've changed your positions and stuff.
He now works for a tobacco company based on his shirt.
What?
This is a tattoo place. Like I always say, my name is Jay West. I'm a nice guy from out of town, just trying to have a good time. I'm just here. I am here at the bar, at the hotel bar.
Yeah, so
hanging out with you dudes because it looks like you might be buying some drinks. And I know Dave, Dr. Dave, likes to bring his own hooch. So,
yeah,
make your own.
Yeah, there you. Well, I mean, I guess
rugged individualist. And plus that's an anise. Plus you can clean with that, right? Can't you just that kills germs that cause?
You were going to say antiseptic, but you didn't really finish the word, right?
Yeah, no,
antiseptic was a really.
I know, I forgot who I was talking to. I was like, everybody knows I'm BSing on this one.
Yeah. Let me tell you the wonders of fermentation. I'm all for it.
Now, I will say, so for those of you out in the audience that don't know Jay, Jay has he came from the weatherization world. He was a trainer for CETA. Is that the name of it? Yeah, in Chicago for a while. So Jay's well versed with building performance and weatherization issues, and he's now in the IAQ industry. So that's a fairly recent change, right?
Yeah. End of March, I moved. I now work for Air Advice. Out of Portland, Oregon, but I'm still in Chicago.
So you're doing it like we're doing this show virtually.
Yeah, it's magic.
So you virtually work for them.
Mm-hmm.
If you know what the word virtual means, right? It's like almost like, but not really.
It's ver is the German word for fur, which is murder.
Kraus, you're gonna have to weigh in on this.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember that one from my time there.
Joe doesn't know what to say. It's totally devolved already in 2 minutes in. Yeah, or Joe's frozen. I can't tell.
Frozen. Why am I frozen?
I don't know.
He's ordering margaritas.
Wow.
If I hit return on the StreamYard, will it take me out or just?
I'm going to pull you out and back in.
Yeah,
See, there you go.
man.
Are you live now?
Yep.
It changed his order though, but I kind of like being here anyway, sitting over the top. of him.
Being over Joe. Yeah.
I feel better about that. So, yeah.
There's some kind of Brady Bunch setting here that we should be doing.
It'd be
I'm
that.
still frozen. Can I just read?
Does that feel
read
like
my
the Brady
page?
Bunch now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you can. Well, you're streaming fine, Joe.
Yeah, but I all of you are frozen to me. So
Really?
yeah, I'm on a major delay right now. Okay.
For once, it's
Kraus-
not my
Kraus is
internet connection.
Yeah, how about it?
Yeah,
So,
finally.
like we're
Yeah.
6 minutes into the show and we haven't said anything substantive yet, but that's okay.
Well, it's the right show.
It's so welcome everybody who's out there in the live audience. And this is unlike what our weekly live show that we do via Zoom and then through our streaming portals, where we actually have a live virtual audience there and we can see how many people are in. This is kind of a little bit more going through a lot of different portals, and this is the first show that we're officially streaming live to the Healthy Indoors online global community. So we're real excited about that. This is going to be an ongoing thing. All of our programs will stream there, and we have some new programs coming out, which we'll talk about later in this show. But it's it's an interesting night because we're pushing it all over the place. It's on the community. It's at healthyindoors.com. It's at Facebook. It's at YouTube. It's on LinkedIn. I mean, come on now, it's everywhere.
Wow.
We're worldwide, baby.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah. Whatever. I'm not even going to offer words of caution.
It's good enough for the girls I go with.
Joe, say something that's at least on topic.
Sentient.
So for those of you who are going, okay, well then what's your show about? So I don't think we really kind of talked about the concept that we tried to come up with something that was more of like, if you're at a conference and we saw each other at a conference and the conference that was kind of the end of the day and we all found ourselves in the bar, like behind me, except with a bunch of people. We were like, hey man, did you catch that one session? Or, God, I really thought that guy was out of whack, or she had nothing to say, or that was some amazing content that we'd want to share with each other or talk about that kind of stuff. So the goal is to try to, just be super casual and talk about some of the things that we think are really interesting, what we've been finding, what we think is BS or not BS, or just great stuff. So we try to find some really interesting people, bring them on, try not to abuse them. Hopefully they won't abuse us. And then we're able to share some great information and resources. So that's really our goal. So let's just kind of relax in the evening and do something that we don't have a show for IEQ people. There are shows during the day, but we're trying to come up with, hey, you know what? For those of you who want to relax and learn more, Jay, you can mute yourself when you do that, but that's okay. So, all right. Okay.
Well, so you haven't really found any interesting people to bring on yet. Hopefully next week or next month we'll have
Yeah, I
that.
was gonna say instead you got us.
Yeah, well,
Well,
Me, Dave is cool.
Bob and I are like, we could do this by ourselves, but no, let's go find
yeah, I
something.
mean, even our families wouldn't watch that.
No.
Hey,
they're
is
not
it okay
watching
if I call you Dave, Dr. Kraus?
Anytime.
Okay.
We're doing the Brady Bunch officially. So those of you who watch our weekly show, I know there's some of you out there that watch the weekly show, and that's somewhat unstructured, a little bit freewheeling. This is a whole different animal. So Dave has been a regular on the Healthy Indoors live show on the Thursday show. I think you've appeared more than anybody in the history of the program. You've been on like six times.
When do I get the blue jacket like they do on Saturday Night Live?
You know what I've got? I have a hat that I'm going to send you, and the hat says "Make indoor air great again."
Are you saying something? I need a hat.
We have "Make indoor air great again" hats. Okay, we do have them, and we're going to start putting them around. So it's the Miaga hats. We have them.
The miasma hat.
Miaga.
Oh,
Miasma.
Yeah, my asthma.
All right. So, I mean, David, you want to talk a little bit? Let's talk about the CDC thing, because we had a call earlier this week and just started talking about that, and it's like, well, actually, we're all the agencies, right? We're not coming off. We're on maybe the waning time of this pandemic, at least in the United States.
we'll see.
Well, yeah, I know, because the problem is there's variants, and we don't know what's going to happen in the fall again. It could ramp right back up with variants, because we still have a lot of areas in this country that aren't fully vaccinated or heavily vaccinated. New York supposedly at 70%, which I think, first of all, I don't believe it. but if it is actually 70%, I'm just saying I don't believe the data.
Well, I think after
but-
all those people died, there wasn't that many.
anybody
The
left.
nursing homes are 70%.
Oh, Lord. Anyway, so I mean, we're totally back to normal in New York for the first time in like what 16 months, 15 months, something like that.
A lot of the country is.
Everything's wide open in New York.
Yeah, right.
This is the first time since last March it's been open.
Well,
same with
you know, my
What's the CDC say? What's your CDC statement?
Well, we'll get to the CDC.
Okay.
But Dave, go.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, for me, a lot of people may not know. I've been kicked in and out of public health a few times in my career. Worked with State Department of Health in Florida. Worked with CDC on several issues that became national issues. So I mean, there's a love-hate relationship there, and I'm sure it definitely it goes both ways. Sometimes they take my calls, sometimes they don't. But the CDC has a great history, and they have a great narrative, they have a great story. They have changed a lot over the years. And I think what the general public and a lot of professionals have seen throughout the pandemic has been CDC under a microscope that demonstrates they don't do public health messaging well. They have a lot of good intentions, but they're not experts in everything. And that's where any kind of experts really kind of fall by the wayside, is when they start speaking outside of their wheelhouse. So I think some of my experiences in the past with dealing with, CDC folks on various outbreaks or incidences has become more commonplace. And one of the biggest things I think has happened here, whether it's the administration, the pandemic, or both, is that the CDC is broken. And can you put Humpty Dumpty back together again? There was a wonderful article in New York Times Magazine last weekend by Janine Interlandi titled, Can the CDC be fixed? Well, that infers that it's broken. And I'd certainly encourage everybody to read this.
At least the author encourages that. And that was in the New Yorker, you said?
New York Times Magazine.
New York Times Magazine, okay.
Yeah.
Can we separate the term broken and fixed to trusted and as trusted? That, to me, that's really what broken means, is that I'm not sure if I can trust that they are an independent resource based upon the last administration.
Well, I don't think they've been an independent resource for 20 years. Public health has at least since the mid 90s, when the hemosiderosis in infants out of the Cleveland area came about. That was really a combination of politics and health came together, where it first really came together and came off the rails. That was one of the first articles and conclusions that CDC had to retract. And there's been a few since then.
Because there was a lot of flaws in that study, right? I mean, it really it made some major claims.
Yeah. So I think it's been out of that. The shine wore off probably 30 years ago. Most people didn't realize that and have accepted it. And there've been, a lot of people standing on the shoulders of a lot of great researchers and giants in the field. But new, reliable research and information coming out of the CDC, I think, has been few and far between.
So, and you're saying that's been for a while. I mean, obviously, my concerns really, sparked, last year, when they were like, they were just misinformation, not just lack of information, misinformation. OSHA, in my opinion, was pretty much AWOL. They were missing in action.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. OSHA just disappeared for 2020. Seem to.
They've been unfunded for decades. They don't.
But they fund with fines, don't they?
Have you seen their fines? I mean,
I've heard of their fines. I never got one. That's what you're asking.
Yeah,
it's cost of doing business. I've investigated, fatalities in which the cost of the fine was 1/10 of the boat that was being manufactured by the guy who died, and there was no other background on that. But OSHA really, they don't leave the office to investigate now until there's probably multiple fatalities on a work site. So yeah, they've been out of the enforcement area for a long time.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's the snake eating its own tail, right? I mean, if you're not funded, then how are you going to employ people to give fines? I mean, that's the thing, again, back to what Bob said, coming from the weatherization world, I remember when we rolled out the EPA RRP certification for, lead safe work. And we were telling everybody $30,000 a day, you're going to get fined $30,000 a day. Do you know how many people got fined $30,000 a day since then? I don't.
It's not even funded. Is it even funded anymore?
Dave, I don't know, but I don't think it's a lot. I heard it was one. I heard about one person, but it could be propaganda.
But I mean, from what I hear, right, that whole program doesn't have an awful lot of funding for enforcement at all, right? It doesn't even. It kind of doesn't exist.
And it's funny because
most fine-based, most of those programs are never intended to be funded by the fines they hand out. That would create havoc.
Yeah, conflict of interest, really.
Yeah. I mean, if your raises and your budgets are based upon fines, Katie, bar the door.
It seems like toward the end of the month, though, like state police seem to be out there writing a lot of tickets in New York. So it seems like they're somewhat funded by it.
Yeah, that's not.
But I'm just saying, there seems to be government organizations that seem to do a lot of self-funding.
Yeah, not OSHA, EPA, or CDC. And the funny part is, having been in government and seeing how it works, you can have a nice budget, but they have this other thing called budget spending authority. So I could have a budget of $1 million for my little office, but I've only given the budget authority for $500,000.
Let's clarify too, David. So you spent how many years in running the IQ division for the state of Florida? Quite a while, right? The health department.
No, it was about 3 years back in the mid '90s, and then I went back in 2008 as the state toxicologist for the state of Florida. So you've
done the public service thing twice.
Yeah, glutton for punishment.
Right?
Yeah. Now the irony I tell people is that when I was there as a late 20s, early 30s environmental specialist 3, industrial hygienist, no graduate degrees, I had a $750,000 a year budget, gave away funding and grants to cover indoor air programs across the state. We did 5,000 responses a year. I had 4 people in Tallahassee and 16 people across the state who reported to me. Fast forward to 2008, I come back as state toxicologist. I have 2 people who work for me entirely. I have no budget. I have no grants. I have no travel budget, and I have no research budget. So
you came back with a PhD, though, right?
Yeah.
They viewed you more dangerous at that point.
That and $2.80 will buy you a cup of coffee at Starbucks.
I'll take it.
80 cents. What? What Starbucks you going
to? Do you have to procure that? $2.80. But you have to procure that Starbucks coffee, which means you got to get 3 competing bids and turn them in. Take you 30 days, but you still get a coffee. Yeah. It's pretty good.
Get the low bid on that. So public health has been defunded, and a lot of people don't realize it. Last time I worked at the Department of Health and left in 2011, I think I was one of half a dozen people at the state level who were actually funded by the state. The other 300 people were funded by grants or federal agencies.
Really?
That's the state of Florida, though, right?
State of Florida, yes.
And
do you have taxes? There's no state taxes, right? There's no state income tax? Just sales tax and like burdensome taxes on all its tourists?
Disney tax, hotel tax.
Yeah, it's the rental car tax. fine
Don't
for
mess-
driving on the highway that you can't drive on because they all have like pseudo version of Easy Pass that doesn't work with real Easy Pass.
That does make me think of something I was going to say earlier about OSHA. I think OSHA should be able to give speeding tickets to people who are driving for work.
What?
Here.
Thanks, Jay.
Don't you think? I mean, if you're driving, say, you're working for the CDC and you're driving you're driving a CDC vehicle, you're speeding or whatever, you're looking at your text messages, you should get it. OSHA should be able to pull you over and give you a ticket.
Well, then you can just apply with anybody who's on the job driving or working, or especially a federal or state agency. Sure, yeah.
You said it. I didn't say that.
Well, I'm sure that's easy to implement too. That is
You're
such an easy
socialist. You're a
tomorrow.
socialist.
Yeah, and what? Yeah, like I want my Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. Bring it on. Yeah,
I was told we were going to get political. Were you not? Was that
we
political?
just did. Okay, there it was. Yeah, we're done.
Honestly, well, I mean, you know where I come from, so. And I'm doing my best to try to moderate myself and not moderate my own
now,
self.
Bob.
Yeah, but see, the thing is I really don't want to lose half of my audience or 48% of it, instantly.
Or your funding. Yeah, right.
I don't have any funding. Well,
you have some corporate people that
we have corporate. Yeah, okay, yeah. You're right. You're right, but we don't have any sponsors on this show. So yet, right? Yeah. So
or if you want to waste your money, contact
keep sitting here drinking live on air.
Yeah.
I have to make a comment. So we do have people in the live audience. Okay, on the community. No, on the community. It's really exciting. So Pat from up in Alaska is actually on there commenting saying it's not fair. You guys, it's drinking hours and he just finished lunch. Yeah, well, you're in Alaska, dude. I'm sorry, you just finished lunch.
Yeah,
it's only 4 hours later than here, right?
Yeah, nobody's expecting. Yeah, I mean, you're supposed to be a rugged individualist.
You finished lunch at 3:30.
Wait. Why can't he be drinking now?
I don't know.
Yeah,
and then and a real comment he put up there is if OSHA didn't disappear in 2020, they would have had to do millions of investigations for PPE violations with a smiley. And I totally agree because I was bitching about that right out of the blocks. It's like everybody's wearing N95s. Whoa, in the workplace. It's like, oh, wait a second. Those are respirators. Where's your respiratory protection program? It's like all of a sudden we forgot about that. So, and the point is, and Dave, you're going to jump in on this too. I know being a health and safety person, it's like, there's a reason why we have those laws for respiratory protection because it's actually that you wear them properly. People that aren't trained to wear respiratory protection maybe don't even have the capacity in their pulmonary system to handle it, and we're throwing respirators on them. I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, but that's why the CDC masks, are not respirators, and they're not an occupational protective measure.
But there was a lot of miscommunication from the CDC conflating or convoluting. I don't know if what's the proper word. Masks and respirators, right? And especially N95s, the disposable type masks that kind of look, or respirators that kind of look like masks.
Say N95 right there on the front, and then say artificial.
Right. Mine I'll say KN95, but it's mine are communist.
Yeah. Well, and that again goes back to public health messaging. That used to be one of my biggest pet peeves when I was with the state is that we, public health in general, stink at offering public health messages, at giving clear information, clear guidance, not contradicting yourself 3 times in one press conference. And so the COVID messaging about, don't wear a mask, it doesn't do much good to, you must wear a mask all the time, but it can't have a valve, but it, isn't a respirator, and it is a respirator, and wear the mask to protect your neighbor, and then wear a mask to protect yourself. I mean, it was entirely foreseeable. It was an unforced error that with just a little bit of forethought could have been and should have been a very clear message.
Joe Medosh and I had that message right on point starting in March in 2020. Yeah. I just want to make that clear. And you were on the show too. We in the first episode, our first COVID episode, we talked about this.
And those who were in official capacities were like, oh, no, be careful what you tell other people to do. And I'm like, well, that's going to get you in more trouble, like listening to those who are official, because they're like, I'm not sure if I can tell you to wear a mask. And I'm like, Bob and I are like, you should be wearing masks. And this is socially,
wearing masks to be socially responsible.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if we should.
And wear a respirator to protect your ass.
That's not human nature. It's not human nature. Let me tell you, if you tell everybody to wear a mask to protect somebody else, people don't. You tell it to protect themselves.
You're talking in American
they're
culture.
more likely to do it.
American
Yeah.
culture. You know what's interesting too? So I read an article about the Spanish flu, right, in 1918, and this same shit was going on back then. Like people were like, there was protests with 10,000 people in San Francisco bitching about wearing masks because they were telling people to wear face coverings, and they were like protesting. It's the same. This hasn't changed. It's like the America playbook 100 years later. We have, we're doing exactly the same stuff. And ironically, in that same time frame, because the Spanish flu was a global pandemic, the Asian cultures, many Asian countries, took upon themselves to actually wear, masks whenever you were ill or whatever. So that's like standard practice in most of those countries. So they didn't. There was no fighting about putting a mask on.
Yeah, I know.
Freedom.
Nothing changed.
I don't know about you.
Human nature is very timeless.
I'll drink to that.
You guys have now been out in public, and you're like seeing people, and you're like, oh, you need to put a mask back on.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh.
I've been told that.
I'm like, whoa.
I mean, to get totally politically,
you need a mask.
to get totally politically incorrect. I mean, on the dating scene, and this is for men or women, right? There are a lot of surprises probably in 2020. Mask off, mask on.
What you have
Mask
to
on.
Yeah.
Now, the surprise was when I put my mask on, I had to smell my breath all day. I was like, wow.
Was that really a surprise, though?
Yes. It really was.
Well,
I was like, wow, that's really
I'm gonna tell you my real opinion about why I think so many people don't want to wear masks.
I'm waiting with bated breath.
I bet you are. They're pussies. Okay, it sucks. It sucks.
Welcome to After Hours.
Hey, no, I need to follow up on that. So I am a big workout guy. I like to do really heavy, intense workouts. I was wearing the mask, and you want to talk about? I think all of you are probably familiar with when you get too much CO2, you get really freaked out. You get really scared. You get really worried.
Do you? Well, how much CO2 are you talking?
A lot. I mean, when you're, deprived of oxygen and you get.
But are you really deprived of oxygen with a mask?
You're
versus
not.
mental?
No,
It's just
I just.
mental.
All you have to do.
Keep going.
If you are
all you
running,
gotta do.
I'm talking
Keep a
about this.
breath.
I am telling you, what I'm talking about is I'm in the gym. I'm doing CrossFit. I'm running sprints. I'm doing things that generally make you crazy out of breath. And it taught me to really breathe hard in through my nose and out through my mouth like I'd always been told to. And every once in a while, I'd look around and see some guy, who's taking it off. And that's why I had to follow up on what Dr. Dave said, because I was like, you're a pussy. Because you had to take your mask off. Because you know why? Because you were freaking out a little bit. You couldn't take it. You had to take your breath off. And I was like, you know what? Leave my breath on, my mask on. And
Well, it is a matter of people.
agree
You know
with
what? You're making, but there's an interesting point here. Let me just throw my point in, and then you can come in. The thing is that people that are accustomed to wearing respiratory protection, right, that do that for a living, and I'm a scuba diver too, so I'm used to being in confined areas with you have to regulate the amount of air you pull. Like you've got a regulator, but can only feed, was it 5 CFM is all you can pull through a reg usually ish. That's about it. So if you can overbreathe your regulator when you're scuba diving, you absolutely can overbreathe a PAPR or a respirator. And you always have to get that woosah thing. You got to chill your ass down when you're in those. So you psychologically.
Yes.
That's why I always have air in my tank when I come up when I'm diving. I don't burn it. You chill.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, Joe. I'm sorry. I jumped over you.
We all have our turns. So since you all talked about your mailings, I skydive. So just so if I could throw that in, since you all do your own weird
Is that
shit.
true?
Yeah, I have. So
You have. Okay. There's a difference between I have and I skydive. Things, but that doesn't mean I do them always.
Are you scuba diving now? Then back off. Okay, so there, right?
I'm in a video studio without water.
All right.
This is free fall.
I'm going to go back to
I'm a pirate
Dr.
too.
Krause's
This is
comment.
rum.
I agree with the pussy concept, but taking the mask off briefly, just an anxiety attack. So, but these are people who are like, oh, I don't want to wear it. I don't. We see these guys out there like, no, I'm too manly to wear it. Yeah, I'm like, well, you know what? I can't wait for they're going to be in the hospital. Yeah, well, one of the things we want to talk about tonight, I want to make sure we bring up is let's all go on record and make some predictions of what's going to happen this fall, because this fall is going to be F like you can't fathom. That either you're like, okay, I got a booster shot, or my injection's still doing well. Meanwhile, other places are going to be like panic city. People aren't going to go to some of these places because they're going to be collapsing with so many infections. And we're like, oh no, we're done. And you're like, oh well, wait. And the question is, I don't think anybody's want to close or do all the things we just did. They're like, just suffer through it, people.
I think Bob was right that we can't trust the data, because how cases are being counted, if they're being counted from county to county, city to city, state to state, the numbers that are the most reliable are how many hospital beds do you have available? How many ICU beds do you have available? That's not something you can really meddle with very much. So to know if your hospitals in your areas can manage what they're dealing with now and a mass casualty event, that's an important piece of information. And so that's what I've been watching are the available hospital beds and available ICU beds as I would say the most tangible metric we have. And really,
what are you seeing? What are you seeing?
Well, it's better. It's better than it was. I mean, in Central
It's
Florida,
better than it was last year. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And they're much more back into normal availabilities. But if you start seeing spikes and medical center crisis and not being able to, not being able to take in more patients, that's, I think, going to be the most reliable metric of, are we having problems or not? Are we outpacing our medical abilities?
And so you need to qualify that. We're talking the United States here. India is in crisis right now. It's like horrible. Brazil, crisis. I mean, it's like there's like pockets, not just pockets, major population centers around the planet that are still people are horribly affected. This thing is not over. And I know we're all tired. I mean, I admit it too. I've maybe potentially let my guard down a little bit now, because both Christy and I actually had COVID, got through it fairly unscathed. I mean, we felt sick for a couple of weeks, but we got better. We got fully vaccinated with the Pfizer thing. So yeah, I mean, I'm not wearing a mask anymore. I haven't been, since things loosened up in the state. And although on an aircraft, I already told her I still have one of those Easy Flows, the little mini PAPR thing with the N95. I'm going to wear that when I fly. And I don't care if it upsets people, because first of all, I wanted to wear that 5 years ago. I hate when somebody's sitting next to me breathing their stink ass breath on me. Like, I actually want a positive air thing to keep their stuff away from me.
Yeah.
I'm going to wear that forever, to be honest.
Well, I think we probably changed what's acceptable and what's not. I've been wearing respirators since I was 18. In the Army,
months or 18 years.
Yeah, probably 18 months. But certainly 18 years when I went in the military, and dealing with things, with chemical weapons. We dealt with live agent. And the funniest thing I ever saw were some of my soldiers, they always just couldn't quite get the respirator, always bitched and griped about having to wear the masks, and because they were hot. And I mean, we'd be in them for 8, 15, 20 hours at a time. As soon as we're dealing with live agent, real world GB, VX, nerve agent, that was their best buddy. They could put on that respirator in 3 seconds flat, absolutely no problems, no gripe about it when they had skin in the game.
When it was legit, yeah. When you actually were at risk, yeah. It's like I doubt anybody in World War I worried about putting their mask on and with the mustard gas. I'm sure it went on pretty quick.
They didn't worry about their stinking breath.
So I want to ask our audience, all 12 of them that are out there, is where do you feel that you now have a risk, or think that, oh, you know what, I probably should put my mask on? In fact, I think most people still carry a mask, because some places are like, sorry, no entry without a mask. But in general, that there's some places where I go into and I'm like, this is one of those places where I will go ahead and go back to the risk. I don't need to be exposed to something, because it looks as though half my audience here is does not believe in having the vaccine. So I will go ahead and do that in a few places. But I'm just curious as to where are other people still find there to be a risk And,
Well,
wondered,
and let me interject here. So some people are watching us from the Healthy Indoors online global community platform that we just launched, which we'll run a commercial on that in a little bit when we take a break and tell you a little bit more about it. But if you're not currently, if you're watching us on healthyindoors.com or on social media, check this out. If you go to global.healthyindoors.com, so it's global.healthyindoors.com. That's our global community platform. The show streams for free. It's the HI After Hours show on the tab there, and you can be watching it, and then you can write comments. Well, here's the qualifier. You can write comments providing you join the community, but it's free. So you should join the community and be part of it. Because if you're interested in this stuff, why are you not on our community? That's what I want to know. Why wouldn't you be?
Despite
You sound a
me.
lot like a sales pitch.
I think Dr. Dave knows.
Dave's on it.
That's right. Don't be a pussy.
That's going to be our commercial. Oh my God, we are like so already over the edge. I can just see I can see the hate mail coming in already.
no, there's the edge could come much closer.
Which reminds me, here's a quick anecdote. So years ago, I had two pit bulls, and they're both rescues, and one was a psycho, and I was having a really bad day, and the day was going shitty. And as I'm walking out to my building in the back, going, this day can't get any worse. Next thing you know, I got attacked by my pit bull. He tried to bite me in the throat, and I had to block him here, and got like sutures and almost severed an artery. And I had to put my dog down and everything. And I said at the end of it,
I'm wearing a mask.
It can. No, I didn't say that. I said it actually can get worse, and I'll never say that phrase again. Because whenever you say things can't get worse, they can get a buttload worse.
Yeah.
Now, if the dog was wearing a mask, he wouldn't have been bit. So
Yep.
Yeah. If he was working, that's
I
a good.
I know
that's
Jay
a
was
valid
thinking
point.
that. I know Jay was going to come out with that.
I was thinking about that. Yeah. They call him. Yeah.
Well, talking about predictions.
All right, let's hear David Krause's predictions.
Well, I don't know about that, but we've all basically been apart from each other for over a year.
You and me.
Yeah, I know. I'm
miss you,
feeling
Dave.
the pain. Feeling the
Miss you,
pain.
Dave.
But I think you're going to see a resurgence of the flu. You're going to see a resurgence of the common cold. You're going to see everything else, and people are going to freak out when they think they're sick.
And STDs. Oh, Jay, you are awesome. As I said it,
the mask is not going to help with that.
No,
Probably.
but the point is, we are
I
like,
guess
okay, we went from like, I don't want to be around anybody. I got a mask, and suddenly I'm like, hey, you know what? You look great.
Hey,
I want to be around you, and I'll get close to you, and I won't wear my mask, and I'm going to go in social areas that are like really disgusting just because I haven't been there in a year. So
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me tell you, alcohol makes everybody look better, even without.
And safe and healthy, right? You definitely don't have COVID.
I just spent 2 weeks in New Orleans in the French Quarter working, unfortunately.
We were there for fun a few weeks ago, or about a month ago.
Oh man, I wish I would have been, but the drunks are still coming out.
They are.
So, I don't think that has been diminished at all.
So,
Joe,
what's your prediction?
No, I want to clarify. No, I just want to clarify. So you're predicting that we will go back to not just things we had, but probably even higher levels of other contagious diseases. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, people are going to rebound and not want to wear masks, and the whole hygiene theater was very comical with the we're cleaning and disinfecting, and then you watch the young lady or the bus boy at the restaurant wipe down the tables, the desk, the front door, and then the drink stand with the same rag, and putting out this
which he cleaned the bathroom
perception
with.
that they're then they went over and wiped down their shoes in the bathroom. So there was a big disconnect of what people were saying they were doing versus what they were really doing in the this room has been cleaned and disinfected for your safety.
Well, it was hygiene theater anyway, right? Because we're dealing with an aerosol virus. The primary transmission was aerosol. So wiping down desktops and stuff isn't really going to do jack shit anyway, is it? Really? I mean, it's gonna clean it for other things. Maybe other things that you do contract that way. So, I mean, in theory, right?
But wait. No. I got this from David. So let's clarify. So cleaning is a good practice. Whether or not you need to disinfect is a whole nother world that many
Yep.
times that's the waste of money, that's the wasted effort. But
I
cleaning,
mean, fogging stuff.
yeah,
You
well,
know,
no,
going
well,
in
you can
there.
spray it, whatever. You know, like you can clean the surface, and you're like, oh, now we have to disinfect. So like, whether it was good of you to do both, but I think the cleaning probably did the such a majority that those are good habits. I'm not
Well,
dissing
they
cleaning.
are,
Yeah,
but I'm saying
yeah,
they didn't bother training people how to clean.
no.
And let me tell you, most people don't know how to clean. You know,
Yeah.
Bob, we worked with you on some videos and using fluorescent materials, and
I learned how
you
to
can see
clean
how,
watching you with fluorescent tracers, and my goodness, it's like when
you
you
know,
watch when you do the blacklight stuff. I mean, it's like it's almost as horrifying as taking a blacklight to your hotel room.
never do that.
No, never. I did that once after a trade show. Somebody gave me one. I turned it on and I turned it off immediately. And I just stood in the corner.
Well, but you know, back to the CDC. I think
We digress.
I think
I'm not even sure how we got there, but okay.
Yeah,
All
right,
right.
fine, yeah.
let me switch lanes real
It's
quick.
like, we're rapidly becoming drunk history, but I like it.
No, drunk
So then the CDC
prognosticator.
says,
And then they say,
Well, I wonder when it's going to be taken up at the legislative level, whether or not they're still doing what they need to be doing, because you've got a disconnect of they're funded to do prevention and they're funded to do chronic disease, and 99.99% of the time, if you are successful doing prevention, nothing happens. If you're successful doing chronic disease, you may be able to show a reduction in disease and the effects. So I think there's a good chance that it would be worthwhile separating that group. If you're trying to prepare or prevent disease, you kind of have to use different tools and different approaches and different mindsets. And if you are tasked with doing both, you're going to spend your time on things you can get attaboys for.
so you're thinking that's convoluted then. You basically, like there are two missions that are not, they're not on the same path, right? They're almost
just at their name, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, but we call them the CDC. What happened to the P? That was a debate when they first named the darn agency.
Has it always been that? Really?
Yeah.
But they came up, well, maybe they only wanted a 3-digit acronym.
1946? What do they care?
It's not accurate.
They, it cost, you had to pay to typeset back then. It cost a lot, put an extra letter in. Somebody had to take that lead letter and stick it in the frame in the Guggenheim
CDCP.
press,
Now, they didn't want the prevention to begin with because it's a loser of a job. If you do it well, nobody sees anything. If you stink at it, oh my God, you've got a pandemic on your hands.
Funny
It's
how
like-
that works.
Yeah, that's what they say about like in football. It's like special teams players. It's like if you know the punter's name, he sucks.
Yep.
That's
Damned if you do,
true.
damned if you don't. So
You also say if you're a long snapper, you can get a scholarship anywhere. But that's another. I used to be a football coach. Whatever. Learn how to long snap.
Back to macho.
All you kids out there that are have aspirations of moving on to the college level, learn how to long snap. If you're like linebacker or any other position, if you can long snap, you will get a gig somewhere. Good long snappers always wanted.
Sports Center will be right back after this. Whatever. So wait, I want to hear Jay's prediction. Jay, what do you got as predictions for us? Good.
Well, I think, from my perspective, it seems like, and again, I'm not new to the indoor air quality world, but I just recently switched over to exclusively doing indoor air quality, and part of the reason why I did that, and if I may be honest, is because I felt like this was a perfect time. This is when people, the general population is concerned and they're thinking about it, and now is a perfect time to capitalize on that. What I didn't think about was the fact that there would be plenty of people who were capitalizing on it that were selling unproven or and I'm searching for my words here, that are selling
Novel technologies.
technologies that
shiny objects.
correct magical things that
Magical
don't necessarily work.
Silver
And-
bullets.
Yep, and how much easier it is, especially when people. It's way easier when people want it.
What's
Oh,
even
yeah.
easier when people have money that is given to them to spend.
Again, exactly, and so
Just saying.
exactly. And my prediction. Are we just predicting for the fall? Was that the
You,
question?
you can extend it where you want.
Let's keep it
Joe,
within
did you
2
put a
years.
limit on it?
Let's keep it within 2 years. Okay.
Okay, 2 years. Well, it's past the fall.
So
Yeah.
I'll make a few predictions based off that. Number one, that this is going to become a topic that's going to be that's going to be a household topic that people are going to know about, not just the us that are interested in it. It's going to be people that everybody's going to know about it. To hear about this, that so and so is getting ripped off, and then I think the number two, there's going to be major lawsuits. That then there's going to be major battles, and then I think it's funny because I think it's going to come back to what Dave was just talking about, because I think that the failure of the CDC messaging is the fact that something that we all take for granted is that science, when we're talking about studies and things, we're talking about we accept a certain level of validity, of reliability, and we know that it can't be perfect. That is the scientific method. The scientific method is trying to disprove your theory. But the general populace doesn't understand that, and they are being taken advantage of because they're being taught that it's a zero-sum game. They're being taught that if there's even one exception, then you can't trust it at all. So I think that's a bad thing, but it could be a good thing with some of these novel technologies, because I think there's going to be a few people who are being told, hey, this works, it's scientific, and there were studies done, and they're not going to ask about the studies. And then they're going to be rip-roaring pissed off.
Well, I mean, were the studies, and how were the studies done? Were they independent studies, or were these studies that were funded by, a product manufacturer?
And generally, again, they don't. That's us. We talk about that, and we know that.
Oh, we do.
But they don't.
Well, I hate to tell you, there's no such thing as an independent study.
Right. Well, you start.
Somebody's getting
Somebody's
paid for
paying for
something.
that.
Somebody's getting a grant or something. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
you're
but
right.
not only that, but I mean, even if you think about the scientific method, is that it starts with a theory. You have a theory that you're trying to disprove. You think something, so only.
Well, I mean, or you have a theory that I'm going to sell this shit and I can make a lot of money at it, and let me prove that it works.
Yeah, that's right.
That theory
That's
does
the theory
work.
they're usually testing. Yeah.
That's the other.
You don't have to test
method.
that too hard. That one works pretty well.
I think that's the commerce method.
Wait.
Well,
So I want to summarize real quick. What Jay says, that we're going to be much more common household people, be much more knowledgeable and interested in indoor air quality. What was your other one, Jay?
Well, yeah, I think they're going to know about this silent battle between, the people that are selling things that don't work and people that are, that are pushing back. So right now, I mean, obviously, we're not really hearing about it, but the four of us know about it. I'm sure the people that are on the call know all about it. They probably could name specific names about some of the battles in court and some of the arguments online and things like that. But I think that's going to be commonplace. I think so.
Wait. So you have two? Is that right? Two? Okay. So I want to make my prediction, and that is that the things that I've heard about my entire life are consumer education. Once we educate the consumer, anything is possible. Which
All you need to do.
That's right. I don't know however old you are. The oldest person out there has heard that since they first entered the work consumer education. So I just don't think it's possible. And the reason that I'm going to say that we said, we're going to go political, is that if 70% of Republicans don't think that Donald Trump actually lost the election, I don't know how in the hell we're going to convince them of any kind of scientific basis about indoor air quality impacts their health or things that they want to do. When we're so whacked out right now, the weird things we believe and the whole concept of news and fake news. They came up with that concept, and then they actually decided to come up with fake news. So it's like, okay, whatever news you want to believe, you can believe it. So I just don't see, and believe me, I've been doing.
There's not two types of facts either. There's fact and there's not fact. The term alternative fact, it still haunts me years later.
Unfortunately, though,
Okay, you can convince people of anything.
Anything.
Okay,
That's right.
Well, clearly, Goebbels, Hitler, and all that whole bunch
big
proved
lie.
that it can be done.
Prior to the early 1900s or the late 1800s,
Eichmann
It
used to
was
say that
not
too. Yeah.
acceptable, not just not common practice, it was not acceptable for a surgeon to wash his hands between surgeries on patients. 1800s, it was common practice, the standard practice. If you weren't bleeding your patients to remove the bad air,
Oh, the bad
you were
blood.
not a good
Yeah, bad
doctor.
blood.
Yeah,
Bleach 'em
you
out.
got the malaria. So if we look back, we go 100 years in the future and look back at what we're doing now, medical wise, public health wise, what we think, we will think what barbaric idiots they were. Okay, so we believe things because of any number of ignorances and information that is put into us. Our parents and hell, even some of us were convinced that if they hid under their desk during a nuclear blast, they'd be okay.
Because you want to do something. It's a matter of doing action. Nobody, that was, I mean, you want to talk about the hygiene theater, that was predicated by the fact that people wanted to see people in bunny suits spraying shit in the air because something was happening. Seriously, there is a psychological, right? It's a placebo effect. People feel better if somebody's out there doing something. You feel like something's, everybody's just sitting there going, wow, we don't know what to do. That doesn't fly well with the populace.
Do something, even if it's wrong. Yeah.
Well, wrong is better than nothing. From a perception, from a perception standpoint, from a public perception. It's not saying it's better, but
somebody's doing something. You don't know that it's wrong. You just know they're doing something. So
I knew it was wrong right from the start.
Yeah, but not everybody does. So like,
I was bitching about that when everybody was talking about all the sales they were making, all the remediation guys were out spraying stuff. I'm like, that's bullshit. You're like spraying biocides in environments. What happens when the next contaminated person with COVID comes in? They're the vector. It's like your stuff doesn't matter.
They didn't care. They're making money. They knew that.
But that's absurd. I'm sorry. I'm a remediation guy. I come from that industry. I'm just like, that's absurd. That makes no sense. Just use, I'm
going to get underneath my desk and wait for this show to end, so that would be a safe place to be while we
probably shouldn't now. This is
agencies that need.
Joe, I'm not just drinking beer tonight, and this, things will unravel.
Fake drink.
The shot glass will come out.
It's cracking rum, dude.
Whatever.
I'm a pirate.
Whatever.
Well, one of the things Jay mentioned that unfortunately I've been in this industry long enough to see things come back around and around and around. And there have been people selling snake oil in black boxes since I've been involved in this, certainly back in the late 80s, early 90s. And yes, there may be lawsuits, but most of them will disappear into the ether, and the consumer, ultimately it's the consumers who get screwed. So
to go along with what you're saying,
bring those.
People will still be saying ionizing crap and glowy objects in their HVAC units continually, even though there's a lawsuit going on and people know that there's that lawsuit. People are still going to be, oh, you know what? For an extra $400, I mean, I'm already putting in a $10,000 unit just for an extra $400, and it sounds cool and like it does shit. So you might as well be like, well, sure. Why would I not want to put that in? Yeah.
I got it in my house.
I know.
Well, I mean, everybody's looking. Everybody wants it, and emotionally, think about it. You're especially with your home, right, or your school with your kids. Everybody emotionally wants a solution. So if somebody says, "I've got the solution," you want to accept that solution. You want to believe that it works. I mean, psychologically, there's a strong factor there.
I think I'm going to go back to the snake oil concept.
Yeah, there are solutions.
That's how snake oil sales work.
Yeah, but no, I'm going to put snake oil literally into your HVAC unit, and here's what it does. Yeah, that we need to go back to the fundamentals.
Yeah, is that a line from Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas?
Is there really, like, do people really sell snake oil? I mean, they did, right? I mean,
nobody needs to oil a snake anymore.
You got lithium grease for that,
Oh boy.
Well, but talk about an agency that needs to do its job is the U.S. EPA Office of Pesticides. Their job, their statutes, their regulatory reason for being is to protect the public, to ensure that pesticides, including biocides, and regulated devices that make the claim that they're going to impact microbes, are safe and effective. And I have, the best I can say is they've been absent, other than putting out list in, they've been absent from the party this entire time.
Well, they also compromised that list in. Why don't you explain quickly so the viewers understand what list N was, and then talk about how Lysol ended up on list N.
Now
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
naming
Well, list
products.
N was a
Thanks, Joe.
it was a list of products
I
that
meant,
were approved
Some
for
spray.
COVID or coronaviruses. Yeah.
No, it's on the N list, so it's okay to
but-
talk about what's on the N list.
Well, that's fine, but
Yeah.
there were so many products out there that were not on the N list. There were so many devices that were making claims that they could kill, prevent, inhibit coronavirus that had absolutely no basis for it. And there was no enforcement. They weren't tracking those guys down and giving them cease and desist orders. So,
But they also lowered
You
the
know,
threshold
it-
so that things that were common household products could enter the N list, so that more people had the chance to find this stuff.
Because you want to be able to find it at your local, your local convenience or box store.
Yeah, but even there was a time when you couldn't find it anywhere. There were so many things that were just out of stock, and you'd wait 2 months to get something from your standard supply house, and you're like,
Mhm.
oh well, maybe we should just change the requirements here because, yeah, some of these things are available at your local grocery store.
So I want to jump in here quick. We jumped
think
in.
we
I
lost
jumped.
Rob.
I jumped in and
There
jumped
you go.
out. There we go. So a couple of comments from our studio audience. So I just want to take them. Yeah. So Jack Springstone's on here. I'd love to have you in here. His comment back a ways back was that COVID-19 via fomites is minimal at best. Yeah, and I think we've come to agree on that. That it is an airborne aerosol transmitted disease. So certainly that's not the big vector. Here's a comment from Patrick.
Here's one
Okay.
thing that back on that. A lot of
Okay.
these devices were making claims not that they were killing it on the surfaces and preventing fomite transmission. They were making claims that it killed it in the air. That it was it was improving the conditions, lowering the risk from contracting it as an airborne pathogen. And
it's funny that you say it that way too, right? Because many of the claims were they were killing it, and I find that really funny that you're killing a virus, an organism.
not alive.
I think it's
Not
not
alive,
alive anyway. It's a freaking vampire. So it's like we're gonna kill the virus. Really? Are you now? And how will you do that? You're rendering it inactive, I guess, right? Somehow you're getting its ability to attach to a cell rendered incapable or whatever. But yeah, Pat, he's still up in Alaska. I guess it's past lunchtime now, right? It's 5 o'clock. Is it 5 o'clock there? 8 minus 4. No, it's 4 o'clock. Wow. How about a statement on the back of Clorox wipes? Surface must remain visibly wet for 4 minutes. I thought it said months. And how many people do that on their chicken juiced kitchen counters? And your chicken. Who wants to take that? Pat.
I just squeeze it right onto the chicken.
The chick.
Well, okay, no, that's a concept that people
get it.
were
I
totally
get it.
confused about what's a cleaning and what's a disinfectant. And then their sanitizers kind of got really funky, like, well, what the hell is that word doing in here? Because that was so undefined and somewhere in between. So I'm sure it also says on the back that clean before you use this Clorox wipe. So there's so many misunderstandings about all this concept. And, there was a brief moment, like 3 weeks, where people kind of understood the difference between the two words, and that's gone. That it is just synonymous with like wipe it off,
cleaning
wipe
and
it down.
disinfecting. Yeah, well, that's the thing, is almost all of these, well, especially chlorine-based disinfecting or sanitizing products, or heavy amounts of organic material render them pretty much inactive almost immediately. So you do have to clean the surface before that. Most of those products actually have any effect, correct?
The people who missed out were the soap manufacturers. They should have been all over this to be like, hey, you know what? Already
that's
got
all
this
you
in your
need
house.
for
I know,
COVID-19
no,
or
but they
for
weren't-
SARS-CoV-2.
They weren't marketing that.
It's an enveloped virus which gets broken down by freaking surfactant. It means
And how many marketing commercials did you
don't
see
need-
on that?
You don't need disinfectant. I got to spray this disinfectant. Just use some freaking soap.
Yeah, I'm telling you that so many soap manufacturers should have been like, you know what? You've already got it in your house. Don't waste any
Mr.
money on it."
Bubble
Well,
should have Mr.
But
Bubble should have been out there.
They're the same companies, and they make more money off the disinfectants. So
It's true,
give
because
them a
like
break.
the big P&Gs and all of them actually own all the products, and they don't want to sell you soap, that's cheap. They want to sell you disinfectant that's pricey.
Jay, do you use soap?
Yeah, I use the expensive stuff.
Which one?
Handmade stuff.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
It's made out of humans.
Melted down goat horns.
Dr.
Yeah,
Squatch.
I was gonna say
I'll do a
goats.
plug for Dr. Squatch because I'm a sucker for online YouTube commercials.
Yeah.
Dr. Squatch is pretty good soap, by the way. But
I like
any Harmon Brothers commercial, I buy the product. You know, the
I like-
Lumi deodorant. You know, we got it all. The Fiber Fix, the Manly.
I buy the I
got it
do
all.
the monthly razor thing, the
Oh, Dollar Shave Club.
Dollar Shave Club, and I buy their manly stuff, cedar, and it's like cedar and oak wood.
You know his deal with that too.
Studley, yeah.
The dude that started that was a comedian, right? And his father-in-law had a surplus of a bunch of Asian-made razors, and he decided to do that commercial that they put on YouTube and got it. He sold that a year and a half ago for $1 billion. $1 billion.
In
Dollar Shave
Bitcoin
Club. He's a billionaire now.
sweet.
We're in the
too.
wrong business.
We should be selling some shit to somebody.
I
Telling
know.
you,
I got a good
snake
idea.
oil, snake oil,
Snake oil.
misters in the HVAC system is coming soon to.
The Mister.
Yeah.
Mister.
Bar soap.
It's gonna be
for
Mr.
your-
Mister.
for your duct work.
Bar soap. You can scrub that duck. Terry, we got Terry Sofer's got a question. To what extent does the panel think part of the USA problem is that neither the CDC nor any other agency use precautionary principle, but instead insist on not doing much until science proves beyond a doubt there's a health problem? Lots of examples. Masks for public are not needed or useful, etc.
Yeah.
Good question.
Well, welcome to America. Welcome to America.
Welcome to America.
America.
Welcome to America. You know, if it doesn't hurt you, you know, what's the harm?
Immediately.
I literally, oh my God, I was testifying in a hearing the other day, arbitration, and the judge asked me the question. So, has anybody there actually, you know, reported an illness or died or gone to the hospital from the silica exposures? And I'm like, well, you know, we try not to let people actually get a, you know, uncurable disease before we take action to protect them. But that was the judge. He really thought you don't need to do anything until somebody gets hurt, right?
Right.
So, you know,
Well, yeah, because
attitude.
you have to have injury to pursue litigation.
Well, no, prove to me
That
it killed
wasn't the
somebody.
case.
That David
That
proved
wasn't
to
the
me it
case.
killed somebody. If you can't prove that, then you know you're just kind of making stuff up.
Yeah, and you know, too bad it has a latency of 30 years. So I guess you just got in trouble.
Gotta wait and see.
Yeah. Well, so
There goes Bob.
I
Right,
did it
right.
again. I'm you know, this is what happens when you're engineering and drinking simultaneously. And I've actually
Boy.
demonstrated in the last like 16 months that I'm adept at being an engineer and a host at the same time. However, not with alcohol included.
No, that's what I thought.
It takes a little, you know, like buttons tend to get the wrong buttons hit. Anyway, so I'm going to spin a quick commercial. I want to do a plug here right now for the Healthy Indoors online global community, which we launched a little over a week ago. So it's out there. It's available. You can actually join it for free. And we're streaming the show here live. Some of you are watching it on the community. Some of you are probably watching it on other portals. But it's the Healthy Indoors global community is actually a really cool thing that you need to be part of. It's so much more than just social media. There's a networking opportunity, education. Hey, watch the video. Hi, I'm Bob Krell, founder and publisher of Healthy Indoors magazine and host of the Healthy Indoors show. Healthy Indoors is the world's resource for credible, timely information on indoor environmental, building performance, and sustainability topics. We are a global multimedia company offering content and networking websites, publications, videos, podcasts, and online events. We are launching our new Healthy Indoors global community, a revolutionary online networking and information platform aimed at linking the industry worldwide. Our goal for this virtual community is to provide a central hub where industry professionals, researchers, suppliers, and other interested parties from around the globe can connect with each other to network, share, and learn. It will offer a host of engagement features for our community participants. It will also include a variety of multimedia content from Healthy Indoors publications, online shows and events, along with offerings from other trusted content creators and organizations. You can join the new Healthy Indoors Global community free of charge as one of our inaugural participants at the pro level. Worried about junk email? Rest assured, we hate spam as much as you do. That's why when you sign up for a free subscription to either of our magazines or join our new online global community, we promise to keep your information safe. Healthy Indoors will never sell, rent, or share your data with anyone, ever. 2020 has brought the quality of our indoor environments to the forefront of public concern. Now is the time to harness this momentum, to network, share, and learn along with other industry professionals from around the globe. I would like to take this opportunity to personally invite you to join us on the new Healthy Indoors online global community. I'm looking forward to seeing you there. Now, I'd preface that by saying that healthyindoors.com will get you there if you click on the community button, but there is actually another site that we can get you to. But yeah, it's available, so you should do it. Those of you watching the show here, you get to comment. So anyway, that's my plug. I mean, I'm very excited about this. Quite frankly, this thing to me, Susan Valenti, our editor, and very heavily involved in this project. We've been working on this for a year to launch this thing, and this is I think it literally is going to revolutionize how people communicate in the IAQ industry. We have a bunch of shows coming out in the next few weeks and just all kinds of stuff. So it's really exciting.
I think the community is something that everybody's been hoping somebody would put together. So I think it's gonna be a great thing. So your plug does feel like it's 4 a.m. though. That's my comment.
I know. Well, because I rolled that because that's a website one that's too long. We need a 30-second one for this show, and I promise I'll get you.
You need something that's either go further and make fun of that stuff, or back off and make
go further and make fun of that
spam
stuff.
We don't do spam, but for order right now, we will give you all the spam you could ever want to eat. So
Well, anyway, so just so you know, so you just go to the community button, and that'll get you to the page that'll actually allow you to sign up, and you can actually get a free subscription. So it's pretty darn cool. Anyway.
It is right. Yeah.
I'd like to propose a toast for those folks that have already joined.
There's a bunch actually. Every day it's growing. So.
Yeah, if you don't have any
what do you have there?
These are pre-made Jell-O shots. And if you don't have one of these, I wish you did. I would love to share mine with you, but
pre-made Jell-O shots.
Wow.
Jay, how old are you? Wait a minute.
It's keying out or something. It's really weird.
No,
I think he's going into another dimension with this.
Come on, everybody. I'd like to drink to the folks that are already on the online community.
Yes, definitely.
Here.
All you early adopters, we absolutely appreciate you guys. It's exciting. We'll do this together and make this something special.
Wait. So back to the Jell-O shot. Let's get back to the important. So when I was a kid, my mom, as most moms, made Rice Krispie treats, right? But I told my mom, and I saw the candy bars at the store.
We make those now, but they're a little different.
But I understand what could be in there. But I said, Mom, why don't we make our own Rice Krispie treats? My mother's like, that's crazy. Anybody can make them. And I'm like, oh my God, now that you can go anywhere without paying $4 for a Rice Krispie treat. I'm like,
that's got preservatives in it and a bunch of crap. I mean, not that a Rice Krispie treat's really healthy anyway, with a bunch of marshmarshlow fluff and Rice Krispies and sugar. It can't be that.
I didn't even check the EPA website to see if this is okay.
On Tosca?
Well, you know what? If it's on the EPA website, it ain't, because that's a problem already. So, but wait, I need to get a prediction from Bob. Bob, I need your prediction. And it can't be what Jay said. Okay.
Well, why would I say what Jay? First of all, why would I say what Jay said?
Because I'm right.
Okay, well, I guess that's a good reason.
Also, that's what you told me to say.
Yeah. Okay. Well, okay. Here's prediction, and I don't like to be the prophet of doom, but I think I kind of made this prediction back in early 2020 when people goes, a lot of people were saying, oh, this will be done in the fall, and I said, you're out of your freaking mind. This isn't going to be done in the fall. It's like this is going to start ramping up and get serious. I just did the numbers. I mean, I literally sat there with a calculator and looked at some stuff, and I'm no epidemiologist, but I was like, out of the blocks back in March, I was saying there's at least 400,000 people that are going to die in the United States. And honestly, my wife thought I was like Satan or something saying that. And then it happened. I'm like, well, because it's just do the math. It's like, you don't have to be a rocket scientist here. It's just like, use a calculator. These numbers are bad. You know, if you even have a 0.5% mortality rate, you know, X number of people get it, there's going to be that many dead people. There has to be.
Prediction.
So the prediction is we're going to have another phase here. As much as I don't know if this is the fourth or third phase, because I haven't been counting that
each
well.
area's got their own different number, but go ahead.
Yeah, but I mean there's going to be another phase because the variant, you know, there's a couple of dominant variants coming out. Predominantly the one in India is huge. It's really affected the UK. So that's going to hit the United States. And the problem is there's a lot of places in the United States that are getting close to herd immunity. New York State purportedly has 70% of the population vaccinated. I don't know if I believe it. I said that in the pre-show. I don't know if I believe it, but you know, I mean, there's probably a lot of people vaccinated here, but there's other places in the United States that are not well vaccinated. And certainly around the planet, there's places that people aren't vaccinated at all. The numbers are awful. You know, like because
Alabama.
the developed, you know, first world countries got all the freaking vaccines because we had the money, and all the people without money don't have any vaccines. So my prediction is not good for the future because this is not over by a long shot. This particular pandemic, and there'll be more because with climate change and the way things are going, unless we make major changes in how we're operating on this planet, we're going to have more viruses jump to the human domain from the animal kingdom, in my opinion. And I'm just saying this, you know, I'm not a scientist. I'm just saying this from what I've read and what I believe. I just think shit's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. But we're in this lull right now. We're in the eye of the storm here in the United States because things are feeling better.
Yeah.
Well, Bob, you remember when I said people get really, in trouble when they start speaking out of their wheelhouse? I'm about to do that. Okay, so not in the realm of toxicology, kind of in the realm of public health. I think one of the biggest mistakes we made in the United States was giving vaccines away for free.
Really?
When something doesn't cost something, it has no value.
You mean like our show?
Yeah, exactly. No, this costs people time and consternation. But I've learned this a long time ago. Giving away free advice to clients doesn't do them well and doesn't help me at all. The more you charge, the more they value the advice. And I think because the vaccine has been given away for free, and I understand why, but we're at a point, maybe you want the vaccine, you had your chance, now you got to pay. And based upon my
that sounds like a big pharma
position.
Have you been bought up by big pharma?
Yeah, right.
You're a freaking Pfizer rep now,
you
aren't
need
you?
to disclose your
Yeah, you have Pfizer stock or like
Right, yeah,
Moderna.
Right. You make these things, you make vaccinations limited, scarce, supply and demand. People will bowl over the local Walgreens to get it.
Yeah, well,
There's probably some truth to that.
I'm from the South Side, and we give you your first hit. We'll give you your first hit for free.
Yeah, exactly. It's the second one. It's the second one that's going to cost you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I disagree, but that's okay. You as you said, you're going to go on record and be wrong, so that's okay. You did that.
So where's your prediction?
Hey, out of my wheelhouse.
Medash, where's your prediction? Step up, buddy.
I predict that we will have a nasty fall, just like we did last year, and that. But we are probably not going to do anything about it this time. That we're not going to shut down sports. We're not going to shut down bars. We're not going to do anything like that. People will be like, "Forget that. I'm vaccinated." Those who aren't, because people are like, "Oh, you can't ask people to show their card and stuff." But right now, New York has got 3 massive concerts. The only way to get a ticket is to prove you're vaccinated. So if you don't want to go see Bruce Springsteen or whatever, Foo Fighters, then you can't get to go unless you're vaccinated.
New York, though.
But no, other places are like, yeah, we should do that. But no, that's against people's rights because they have the right to not be vaccinated. I'm like, you do. But wait. I'm not doing that prediction.
Okay, all right. Because that's bullshit, too. Because if you're going overseas, you have to get a visa. You have to have vaccinations to go to a lot of places.
I got it. Right.
So you're like that for 100 years.
But if I had a bar, I'd be like, no vaccination, don't come in. But, but people are getting soft on that. But we're going to see something different in terms of the maps starting this fall. So we're going to see maps that
the redistricting maps, or
right, where the games are played. So it's going to be more on vaccination rates, low vaccination rates, high hospitalization rates. That's what we're going to see this major connection for those who'd be like, you know what? No, we didn't do. In fact, there was a thing on one of these shows, and the guy said he swears, no, I don't have COVID. And he's on the hospital bed with a ventilator and he's trying to explain this isn't COVID. And you're like, dude, you didn't get a vaccination and now you have COVID. And he just was a total, not just denier that about everything. He just swears that, no, this is not COVID. So, there's Orwellian, concepts here that go with Darwin. Let it all happen and let the chips maybe fall where they are. But I did predict something a while ago, and David, you kind of were like not sure. We're going to have COVID seasons for years. That it's going to come up. We're going to have updated vaccinations. This is now with like the flu, which is a generic concept. But many, many years ago, they were like certain kinds of flus, and we were like really focused on them. Now it's just flu, and eventually it'll be flu COVID season, and go get your flu COVID shot. Yeah,
we've got to be careful of applying what we know from the past about vaccinations. The mRNA technology is an entirely different platform framework. It can be adjusted on the fly.
Yeah, this is crazy. This is crazy technology. Yeah.
Yeah, as long as that doesn't break, as long as it doesn't run into a brick wall, I think you're going to be able to see tailored, custom vaccinations as the variants arise.
You're raising a heavy point, though, because in order to do that, you have to do assays to figure out what variant somebody's infected with. And we're only doing that on less than 5% of the cases in the United States. In the UK, they're doing it more. We're not doing that. We don't freaking know. That's the problem. We really need to actually be doing PCR and figuring out, qPCR and actually figuring out which variant of the virus you have.
They're doing that on a population basis.
But they're not doing it. I don't think they're doing it. It's very limited, is it not? I mean, we're not getting good data on that.
You don't have to do an audit. You just have to do a sample.
I get it,
sample.
But
and Moderna's already
categorically though in the country.
They've already come out with an adjusted
version. Yeah,
vaccination.
Pfizer and Moderna have done that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean,
but you still need the data.
Technology is new. Yeah, you do, but you have to be ahead of it. You still there has to be some predictive nature to it.
Okay.
But I think that it's a new game. It's a new tool, and we have to be a little bit humble in how we're predicting how that what its limitations are. Eventually, we will find the limits of its abilities. Hopefully, we just don't break it.
So we went heavy COVID here. You know what's crazy? That's 90 minutes flew by. Like we're 80 minutes in, and like this didn't take any effort. Which
okay, I got a 10-minute follow up. Are you ready? So let's.
Well, you cut me off there. It's like I had something to say.
Hey, you know what?
I did have something to say there.
You pause. That's it.
Okay. I paused for like a second to get some air.
Bob,
maybe I should talk like this, Joe. Okay. Now I lost my point. Go on.
What? No, you didn't. It just wasn't that good.
Probably.
So, who wants to make another prediction? One, you get one. Right? Yeah. That's our goal tonight. Like we have no focus.
We have no focus.
One more.
One more.
One.
So,
Una mas. Actually,
it's a good or bad. What do you got, Bob?
Well, based on that, I just said
bag.
You said one more.
Oh, okay. All right. So there are a variety of things that COVID has done to our economy. You can call it global economy or local economy, but houses are out of control. We can't get wood, materials, glass. There's so many things that are like suddenly hard to get because of everything was shut down or redistributed or
wood's expensive.
So many things now.
Some pieces on my deck. It was like $400 for 4 pieces of freaking decking.
They took all the wood out of the shallow shed.
Yeah, and they give it to Bob.
They still left some of it in your cheese, though. Your processed cheese that you're buying has plenty of cellulose in it. You're good.
Okay, so will we have a really nasty economy in we'll just say 2 years? We'll give you a 2 years, yes or no. You know what? No, we'll be okay, or shit's going to go to the handbasket. Who wants to go there?
I'll let somebody else go first.
I think we've got to figure out the labor market first. It's not making sense. There's a lot of people who apparently are not willing to do that ever again, and
like
yeah, I ain't doing that again. That can only last so long. If you don't have the funds coming in. At some point, you got to step back into the job market. So I think that will be the predictor of whether or not the economy is going to go haywire, whether or not the business is closed first or the workers return.
Jay?
Do I have to make a prediction based on the economy?
Well, what else you got?
Based on reality, maybe would be good.
What
Nope.
else you got? No, no,
I'd
no
rather do
sports.
economy.
No sports. No sports.
Oh shit! Because I was totally gonna go Bears playoffs.
Bears.
Yeah. I mean, the economy wise, I something's gonna give. I think that exactly like Dave said. The reason why people don't want to go back to work is because they don't get paid shit. So and they're starting to figure that out. I think I don't know. I guess I should
In
say
some
this.
of the states.
The more I think about it, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think something's gonna give. I think they're gonna figure. I think we're gonna see some newer form of manipulation. I think just like back to the what happened economically over COVID was that the very rich got really, really richer, and the rest of us kind of fought for the scraps. I don't think that's going to change in 2 years. So that last yellow shot just made me kind of maudlin, as my grandma would say. Sorry. I don't think anything's going to change. I think have a good time while you can.
There's a lot of unspent cash out there. I was just at a beach resort today.
Not in my
Redneck
account.
Riviera.
Yeah, in some places probably.
Yeah. I mean, as we call it, the Redneck Riviera around here. And that place was jam packed full with families just having a good old barefoot time on the beach. That hotel has been packed for the past 9 months. I think there's a lot of unspent cash, and people are, either holding it and not having to work or going and playing. So,
well, I think it's unspent cash and expression of memories. I need to go do stuff and see people. I think there's going to be an explosion of that they are like, you know what, guys, COVID was crazy, and I want to go do these things. I've never been on a cruise, and I'm going to go on a cruise now, or I'm going to go to that hotel that you just mentioned. So
why do you have that voice to it?
So that was their voice.
It's like,
they talk like this when they
it's
talk
like
like that.
it's like because there's only one. You're offending our Southern representative on the show.
No, that wasn't Southern. No,
that wasn't Southern. That was an old people accent.
Yeah, that was like.
Actually,
that
it's
was,
Western New York too. I mean, it actually kind of sounds the same up here. To be honest.
That's Southern.
Well,
no, that was way too fast for Southern.
No, just you hear the same. Just trust me. Trust me on this.
Oh yeah, like you New Yorkers don't talk like that, so I can do whatever.
No, that's out by the border.
You
bet, buddy. You bet. Oh, sure.
I was getting more like when I was your age, we used to go on cruises.
Yeah,
go ahead, Joe.
People soup.
Yeah.
Joe, yeah, you really wanted to say something, so why don't you say it, Joe?
No, I was good. I know. I just clarified. That was not a Southern accent. Just so I'm on record, not a Southern accent. Right.
All right.
And I'm not going to do one just to prove it. I'm not.
Okay. All right. I'm not. I'm not going to stop you. All right. So is it my turn?
Oh, South Jersey there.
All right. So so I've got to put this up because Patrick said this. Okay. Is this really just freaking him out? I mean, you don't like my skulls? Just the darkness. All right, Patrick.
The
next time,
floating head.
I promise. David was going to do that. I promise for the next after-hour show, I will wear a different color. I actually had a teal shirt that I was going to wear that was kind of funny and sarcastic. And the problem with that teal shirt was it was probably going to affect my chroma key capabilities, and so that would have been messy. So prediction. I don't know. I just watched the end of this latest season of The Handmaid's Tale, and I think we're going to go to Gilead in like 2 or 3 years. And I hate to say that, but I don't feel good about things. I really don't, because I think there's this denial and downright resistance to reality that really bothers me. It's like I'm okay. And again, this is not a political statement here, kids who's watching it. It's like I really do believe that you need to have both sides, yin and yang. You need to have conservative and liberal, and there should be open debate. And somewhere you've come to the middle ground, and that's the way things are supposed to work. And I'm fine with that. I'm absolutely fine with that. But it's got to be reality based. And I'm just fearful that the way we approach things isn't great. And I think the whole planet's kind of doing that to some extent. And it's a little
We do
scary.
it
So
in cycles, Bob. We do it.
I know, but I don't feel good about it. I'm not lying. I really, honestly, as a parent with 2 children and stuff, I don't feel great about this. I don't feel great about the world right now. And not to be negative. I mean, I feel okay about the world. I mean, I don't feel great about
this beer.
Damn, as long as beer is still cheaper than the price of gas, we're good.
And it always will be.
Most likely.
That was the thing in Germany. Beer was cheaper than water.
Yeah.
That's when the world is right.
And that's right before the world falls apart, if you think about it. The world is right.
And after it's falling apart.
Yeah,
you think about all of the technology, all of the enlightenment and information that was lost when Rome fell, and the dark ages that followed.
That's true.
It took us 1,000 years to figure out how to make concrete again.
We didn't make lead plates again, though. That was good.
No, we made lead pipes.
Yeah, well, we lead pipes.
We did make lead pipes.
No, lead plates. I said plates. They used to have their dinnerware, their goblets, and their plates were lead. We got away from that.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
And lead gasoline. Yeah, we just put our domestic water through it.
Yeah. So it's human nature. It's something we do. We bump up against some level of, gosh, we didn't like this. Kind of got corrupted, fell apart, and then humans can descend into some pretty crazy stuff for a few millennia, and then don't assume things are static and will never go away.
Well, we also didn't talk about the climate situation, and we can't now. It's too late. But I mean, reality is we got
more ways than one.
We've got a ticking time bomb here. I mean, it's like honestly, we've got like an 80-year window of absolute probably destruction, and we need to be moving on it in the next 5 to 10 years to stop that. In my opinion, I mean, everything I'm seeing, I don't like the data. I don't like the data at all. It's
everything that we're doing, yes, it will probably adversely affect people, human civilization.
Right, the planet's going to be fine. The planet's always been fine.
Yeah, it'll bounce back. It may be different roaches in charge.
Did you know there were 6 extinctions? I actually just read that. I didn't realize there were 6 different extinctions so far on this planet, where more than 75% of the life on the planet ceased to exist. It's happened 6 times. I thought it only happened a couple of times.
Is that according to Governor Cuomo, or who's that?
The Bible. The Bible.
Oh no! Oh, you didn't.
I did.
You didn't.
Why would you not?
Right. You didn't. I've got to go.
What are they calling this one now? The Anthropocene, or it's the age of human influence.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's face it. There's a lot there's a lot of issues potentially going forward. So we have a lot to do. I think Jay dropped out. I don't know if that was intended.
Right.
I don't know if that was intended or not, but let's do a quick close up.
Okay.
Thanks, Joe. So the precipice just got remarkably closer.
Okay. So
and the likelihood of sponsors got like so much further distant.
Yeah, there's a lot of weirder shows than this that have major sponsorships. So
I get it. That's kind of true. Yeah. Okay.
So the underlying theme, which we only did as a small break, is that we're creating a community. That Bob has done a phenomenal job. I'm not going to jump in hey, Bob and I are doing it together, because this is Bob's dream with Susan. So this is a great opportunity for us to try to share an amazing amount of knowledge and stuff. In fact, it is so hard to figure out, all the different things that are happening between, testing or the results and the sampling or what's this gooey stuff on the wall. We have now a community that can help give you information on what that is. And it's a stable community. So there's not a bunch of, strange people coming in and being like, oh, that's bubble gum. But if 12 people say it's bubble gum, maybe it's bubble gum. So that's our goal, is to make sure that we're actually creating something, because building science and all kinds of other venues is part of this, the home built environment have these kind of communities to help them figure out how to build better, how to do better. But we are actually the underlying element as to whether or not all those built environments have a healthy or stable component. And this is now the chance to like come in and ask your questions. Shit, he's back. Anyway, so that's one thing that's happening. So we're here like BSing all the time, but the reality is that our goal is to create this community and to try to, tell you that there's great information and awesome stuff happening. So please make sure you reach out to the community to share your knowledge and learn more from others.
Yeah, so let me just key it up again. Those of you who haven't seen it, I mean, this is the community platform. This is my view because I'm the administrator, but there's a lot of stuff. We actually have like our show tonight is available free. On there, this is actually public domain. You don't even have to be a member to see the show. Right now, it's streaming live. Look at that. It's freaking crazy. Like there it is. It's all this stuff is happening in real time. 30-second delay, but the reality is, you can be a member of the community for free. So it's really worth doing because it's much more than just content. That's the point. I really want to stress. This is an opportunity to meet, network, share information. Yes, the content's great, and we're offering a lot of free content from Healthy Indoors and a lot of other credible providers. But really, it's the networking and the opportunity down the line for events, live streaming, training, all kinds of stuff here. So this really is a central hub for indoor environmental topics. Kraus, you look way too happy or very sarcastic.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you've been doing jello shots.
I'm reading some of the comments.
Oh, you are reading you're in the community. You're in the community.
Yeah,
I love it.
Watch out! Oh
yeah,
I do want to express that to Bob and Joe that you guys have done a great job with the show and the audience. It's I'll say an enjoyable time to spend and chat, and they get me to say things I probably wouldn't say in most venues.
It was a good evening for you, right? I mean,
you relaxed today. Yeah.
And you know what? I was really nervous about your internet connection, but my goodness, it was actually stable. A little fuzzy, but it was good.
Unlike me.
Unlike you, yeah. I mean, you didn't have the 1080p studio like me, or Joe Medosh, but I mean,
Or Jay's good. So, David, we look forward to having you back again and again.
Always.
Jay, we'll talk about that off hours, and we'll figure that out. But Jay, why don't you tell us where you're coming from and who allowed you to come here tonight? Go ahead and promote yourself.
Hey, thanks. I'm coming from Chicago, Illinois, and I am employed until at least the morning by Air Advice. Who makes indoor air quality monitors.
Great.
Well, then I think David should do a plug for himself too.
Oh, and thanks, by the way, sorry, before you go, Dave, and I just want to say thanks. It's been great. I think you got Dr. Dave to loosen up, and then, of course, you put me in my natural habitat. So
clearly,
I had a lot of fun. Thanks for inviting me.
That was fantastic. This was a fun evening. If I have to spend my night in the studio instead of being at home, I'd rather be doing a show like this. Clearly. So,
yeah,
Dave,
thanks for being here. Yeah, you promote yourself, Dave.
Yeah, give us a plug, David.
Oh, a plug for what I do?
HC3.
I want to retire soon, so send money. Don't send work. No, it's been an interesting career. Hopefully we'll have some fun things to announce to the industry, and chatted with Bob about some of the things we're doing related to Legionnaire's disease and the work that the American Industrial Hygiene Association has been doing in conjunction with the National Environmental Health Association. So unfortunately, with all the volunteer work that I'm doing, I don't see that I'll be retiring anytime soon. You may see me on the corner throw a nickel in the cup, please. So, but thank you very much for inviting me. I've had a good time tonight.
It's always a pleasure to have you, Dr. Dave. And Jay, it's like fantastic to have you on the show. Joe Medosh. What?
Well, Jay was doing something like, I don't know. Why you put your hand in your drink, Jay?
Well, okay. So on that note, let's let Joe plug his thing. Come on, Joe.
All right, great. So I am the Healthy Building Scientist, and it's a free label you can apply to yourself. Just be courteous and considerate about ventilation and all the crappy things that are in the products you're putting in the home. So the built environment is great until you realize that it's unventilated and full of a bunch of chemicals. So that's what I do. And I do that for Hayward Score. So you can go to haywardscore.com and get a free Hayward Score that helps you determine if your home is impacting your health. And we've learned that a lot of people, just by taking our survey, learn a lot about their house and learn more about things they were not really familiar with or realize probably are connecting each other. So, between your crawl space and the tightness of your chemicals, all that stuff could be impacting your health. So you think it is, it probably is. And we try and give you advice on how to do that. Fix it.
Excellent. And I'll do my out plug here. So obviously I'm Bob. I'm around. I've been involved with Healthy Indoors for 8 years now. Actually, our birthday's coming up in about a month, which is kind of exciting. 8-year anniversary. And of course, our website, our primary website is the .com site still, healthyindoors.com, where you can become part of the community just by clicking on that community button. It'll take you to a page where you can actually get your free membership to the community. But we really want you here because this community only works when we scale. It's important that we actually get people participating, and we don't just want this is not Facebook or a LinkedIn community, or a group. We actually really want you engaged here. So we're really looking for that, and we'll do everything in our power to make this something valuable for all.
It's a stable knowledge base. I think that's really what we make sure is. It's a credible.
It's a place where people can find a repository
right.
of information.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
right.
it's a place where people are going to be able to go, which we're super excited about because to date, right? There's where do you look for something? I mean, I don't know. You look on the internet and then you get a bunch of garbage. So.
There's one last plug is that many of you that joined us tonight, we really want to appreciate your time tonight.
Absolutely.
And many of you gave us some dissertations of questions. That was awesome. And we tried to address them as best we can. And I know some of you on Thursday, and we'll be back in another month. So spread the word.
On the 20th, actually, July 20th. No, today's the 22nd. Yeah, July 20th is our next show. Tuesday, okay. July 20th.
Yeah, and so thanks for all of you there.
I don't have a confirm on that, but we potentially have a really interesting guest for that show, at least one.
As opposed to tonight.
No. Tonight was an interesting guest.
We gotta get something better than this.
Yeah, well, we can only get so much at night.
4 o'clock. Hey, are you guys free? You guys free? What are you doing?
You guys want to have a couple of beers and come on our show?
Yeah. Hey, what are you doing right now, David? Can you jump on?
Yeah. Available. So I guess it's time, right? It's time to call time. So hey, guys, thanks so much for joining us, Jay. Dave, it's great seeing you guys. Joe, of course, always a pleasure. Till next time. So we'll see you on the Healthy Indoors After Hours show in July, on the 20th of July. The Healthy Indoors live show will not be aired this week. So we're taking this Thursday off. We'll be back next Thursday on July 1st for the Healthy Indoors live show. Is that first? Yeah, Thursday's the 1st. So we'll see you then. And other than that, thanks so very much for joining us.
Great time.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Guys. Take care.